Act 1. Catherine with surging enthusiasm. You can't guess how splendid it is. A cavalry charge. Think of that. He defied our Russian commanders, acted without orders, led a charge on his own responsibility. Headed himself, was the first man to sweep through their guns. Can't you see it, Raina? Our gallant, splendid Bulgarians with their swords and eyes flashing, thundering down like an avalanche, and scattering the wrenched Servian dandies like chaff. And you kept Sergius waiting a year before you would be betrothed to him. Oh, if you have a drop of Bulgarian blood in your veins, you will worship him when he comes back, Reina. What will he care for my poor little worship after the acclamations of a whole army of heroes? But no matter. I'm so happy, so proud. She rises and walks about excitedly. It proves that all our ideas were real after all. Catherine indignantly. Our ideas real? What do you mean, Raina? Our ideas of what Sergius would do, our patriotism, our heroic ideas. Oh, what faithless little creatures, Gilza. I sometimes used to doubt whether they were anything but dreams. When I buckled on Sergius's sword, he looked so noble. It was treason to think of delusion, or humiliation, or failure. And yet, promise me you will never tell him? Catherine, don't ask me for promises until I know what I'm promising. Raina, well, it came into my head just as he was holding me in his arms and looking into my eyes that perhaps we only had our heroic ideas because we are so fond of reading Byron, Pushkin, and because we were so delighted with the opera that season at Bucharest. Real life is so seldom like that. Indeed, never, as far I knew it then, remorsefully. Only think, mother, I doubted him. I wondered whether all his heroic qualities and his soldiership might not prove mere imagination when he went into a real battle. I had an easy fear that he might cut a poor figure there beside all those clever Russian officers. Right, Catherine? A poor figure? Shame on you! The Servians have Australian officers who are just as clever as our Russians, but we have beaten them in every battle for all that. Raina, laughing and sitting down again. Yes, I was only a prosaic little coward. Oh, to think that it was all true. The Sergius is just as splendid and noble as he looks. That the world is really a glorious world for women who can see its glory and men who can act its romance. What a happiness! What an unspeakable fulfillment! Ah! She throws herself on her knees beside her mother and flings her arms passionately round her. They are interrupted by the entry of Luca, a handsome, proud girl in a pretty Bulgarian peasant's dress with double apron, so defiant that her civility to Raina is almost insolent. She is afraid of Catherine, but even with her goes as far as she dares. She is just now excited like the others, but she has no sympathy for Raina's raptures and looks contemptuously at the ecstasies of the two before she addresses them. Luca, if you please, madame, all the windows are to be closed and the shutters made fast. They say there may be shooting in the streets. Raina and Catherine's rise together aloud. The Servians are being chased right back through the pass, and they say they may run into the town. Our cavalry will be after them, and our people will be ready for them, you may be sure. Now they are running away. She goes out on the balcony and pulls the outside shutters to, then steps back into the room. Raina, I wish our people were not so cruel. What a glory is there in killing wretched fugitives. Catherine, businesslike, her housekeeping instinct aroused. I must see that everything is made safe downstairs. Raina, to Luca, leave the shutters so that I can just close them if I hear any noise. Catherine, authoritatively, turning on her way to the door. Oh no, dear, you must keep them fastened. You should be sure to drop off to sleep and leave them open. Make them fast, Luca. Luca? Yes, madam. She fastens them. Raina, don't be anxious about me. The moment I hear a shot, I shall blow out the candles and roll myself up in bed with my ears well covered. Catherine, quite the wisest thing you can do, my love. Good night, Raina. Good night. They kiss one another. Raina's emotion comes back for a moment. Wish me joy of the happiest night of my life. If only there are no fugitives. Catherine, go to bed, dear, and don't think of that. She goes out. Luca, secretly to Raina. If you would like the shutters open, just give them a push like this. And she pushes them. They open, she pulls them to again. One of them ought to be bolted at the bottom, but the ball's gone. Raina, with dignity, reproving her. Thanks, Luca, but we must do what we are told. Luca makes a grimace. Good night. Luca carelessly. Good night. She goes out swaggering. Raina, left alone, goes to the chest of drawers and adores the portrait there with feelings that are beyond all expression. She does not kiss it or press it to her breast or through it any more or show it any more of bodily affection, but she takes it in her hands and elevates it like a priestess. Raina, looking up at the picture with worship. Oh, I shall never be unworthy of you any more, my hero. Never, never, never. She replaces it reverently and selects a novel from the little pile of books. She turns over the leaves dreamily, finds her page, turns the book inside out at it, and then with a happy sigh gets into bed and prepares to read herself to sleep. But before abandoning herself to fiction, she raises her eyes once more, thinking of the blessed reality, and murmurs, my hero, my hero. A distant shudder breaks the quiet of the night outside. She starts, listening, and two more shots, more nearer, follow, startling her so that she scrambles out of bed and hastily blows out the candle on the chest of drawers. Then, putting her fingers in her ears, she runs to the dressing table and blows out the light there and hurries back to bed. The room is now in darkness. Nothing is visible but the glimmer of the light in the pierced bowl before the image, and the starlight seen through the slits at the top of the shutters. The firing breaks out again, and there is a startling fusil sight quite close at hand. Whilst it is still echoing, the shutters disappear and pulled open from without. And for an instant, the rectangle of snowy starlight flashes out with the figure of a man in black upon it. The shutters close immediately, and the room is dark again. But the silence is now broken by the sound of panting. Then there is a scrape, and the flame of a match is seen in the middle of the room. Raina crouching on the bed. Who's there? The match is out instantly. Who is there? Who is that? A man's voice. In the darkness, subduedly but threateningly. Shh, don't call out or you will be shot. Be good and no harm will happen to you. She's heard leaving her bed and making for the door. Take care. Take care. There's no use in trying to run away. Remember, if you raise your voice, my pistol will go off. Commandingly, strike a light and let me see you. Do you hear? Another moment of silence and darkness. Then she is heard retreating to the dressing table. She lights a candle, and the mystery is at end. A man of about 35, in a deplorable plight, bespattered with mud and blood and snow. His belt and the strap of his revolver case keeping together the torn ruins of the blue coat of a Servian artillery officer. As far as the candlelight and his unwashed, unkempt condition make it possible to judge, he is a man of middling stature and undistinguished appearance, with strong neck and shoulders, a roundish, obstinate-looking head covered with short, crispy brown curls, clear, quick blue eyes, good brows and mouth, a hopelessly prosaic nose like that of a strong-minded baby, trim soldier-like carriage and energetic manner, and with all his wits about him in spite of his desperate predicament, even with a sense of humor of it, without, however, the least tension of trifling with it or throwing away a chance. He reckons up what he can guess about Raina, her age, her social position, her character, the extent to which she is frightened, at a glance, and continues more politely but still most determinedly. Excuse my disturbing you, but you recognize my uniform, Servian. If I caught, I shall be killed. Determinedly. Do you understand that, Raina? Yes, man. Well, I don't intend to get killed if I can help it. Still more determinedly. Do you understand that? He locks the door with a snap. Raina, disdainfully, I suppose not. She draws herself up superbly and looks him straight in the face, saying with emphasis, some soldiers I know are afraid of death. Man, with the grim good humor, all of them, dear lady, all of them, believe me, it is our duty to live as long as we can and kill as many of the enemy as we can. Now, if you raise an alarm, Raina, cutting him short, you will shoot me. How do you know that I'm afraid to die? Man, cunningly, ah, but suppose I don't shoot you. What will happen then? Why? A lot of your cavalry, the greatest blackguards in your army, will burst into this pretty room of yours and slaughter me there like a pig, for I'll fight like a demon. They shan't get me into the street to amuse themselves with. I know what they are. Are you prepared to receive that sort company in your present address? Raina, suddenly conscious of her nightgown, instinctively shrinks and gathers it more closely about her. He watches her and adds pitilessly. It is rather scanty, huh? She turns to the Ottoman. He raises his pistol instantly and cries, "Stop!" She stops. "Where are you going? Where are you going?" Raina, with dignified patience, "Only to get my clock." Man, darting to the Ottoman and snatching the clock. "A good idea. No, I'll keep the clock, and you will take care that nobody comes in and sees you without it. This is a better weapon than the pistol." He throws the pistol down on the Ottoman. Raina, revolted. "It is not the weapon of a gentleman, man. It is good enough for a man, with only you to stand between him and death." As they look at one another for a moment, Raina, hardly able to believe that even a Serbian officer can be so cynically and selfishly unchivalrous. They are startled by a sharp first sight in the street. The chill of imminent death hushes the man's voice as he asks, "Do you hear? If you are going to bring those scoundrels in on me, you shall receive them as you are." Raina meets his eye with unflinching scorn. Suddenly, he stops, listening. There is a step outside. Someone tries the door and then knocks hurriedly and urgently at it. Raina looks at the man, breathless. He throws up his head with the gesture of a man who sees that it is all over with him, and dropping the manner which he has been assuming to intimidate her, flings the clock to her, exclaiming sincerely and kindly, "No use. I'm done for. Quick, wrap yourself up. They are coming." Raina, catching the cloak eagerly. "Oh, thank you." She wraps herself up with great relief. He draws his saber and turns to the door, waiting. Luca, outside, knocking. My lady, get up quick and open the door." Raina, anxiously. "What will you do?" Man, grimly. "Never mind. Keep out of the way. I will not last long." Raina, impulsively, "I'll help you. Hide yourself, or hide yourself, or hide yourself. Quick, hide yourself, quick." Behind the curtain, she seizes him by a torn strip of his sleeve and pulls him towards the window. Man, yielding to her. "There is just half a chance if you keep your head, remember? 9 soldiers out of 10 are born fools." He hides behind the curtain, looking out for a moment to say, finally, "If they find me, I promise you a fight, a devil of fight." And he disappears. Raina takes off the cloak and throws it across the foot of the bed. Then, with a sleepy, disturbed air, she opens the door. Luca enters excitedly. "Luca, a man has been seen climbing up the water pipe to your balcony. A Servian. The soldiers want to search for a man, and they are so wild and drunk and furious. My lady says you are to dress at once." Raina, as if annoyed at being disturbed. "They shall not search here." "Why have they been let in?" Catherine, coming in hastily. "Raina, darling, are you safe? Have you seen anyone or had anything?" "Raina, I had the shooting. Surely the soldiers would not dare come in here." "Catherine, I have found a Russian officer. Thank heaven, he knows Sergius," speaking through the door to someone outside. "Sir, will you come in now? My daughter is ready." A young Russian officer in Bulgarian uniform enters, sword in hand. The officer, with soft, feline politeness and stiff military courage. Good evening, gracious lady. I'm sorry to intrude, but there's a fugitive hiding on the balcony. Will you and the gracious lady, your mother, please to withdraw while as we search? Raina, petulantly. Nonsense, sir. You can see that there is no one on the balcony. She throws the shutters wide open and stands with her back to the curtain where the man is hidden, pointing to the moonlight balcony. A couple of shots are fired right under the window, and a bullet shatters the glass opposite Raina, who winks and gasps, but stands her ground, while Catherine screams and the officer rushes to the balcony. The officer on the balcony, shouting savagely down to the street. Cease firing there, you fools, do you hear? Cease firing, damn you. He glares down for a moment and then turns to Raina, trying to resume his polite manner. Could anyone have got in without your knowledge? Were you asleep, Raina? No, I have not been to bed, the officer impatiently coming back into the room. Your neighbors have their heads so full of runaway Servians that they see them everywhere. Politely, gracious lady, 1,000 pardons. Good night. Military bow, which Raina returns coldly, another to Catherine, who follows him out. Raina closes the shutters. She turns and sees Luca, who has been watching the scene curiously. Raina, don't leave my mother, Luca, while the soldiers are here. Luca glances at Raina, at the ottoman, at the curtain, then purses her lips critically, laughs to herself, and goes out. Raina follows her to the door, shuts it behind her with a slam, and locks it violently. The man immediately steps out from behind the window of the curtain, and sheathing his saber and dismissing the danger from his mind in a businesslike way. Man, a narrow shave, but a miss is as good as a mile. Dear young lady, your servant until death. I wish for your sake I had joined the Bulgarian army instead of the Servian. I'm not a native Servian, Raina. Haftily. No, you are one of the Austrians who set the Servians on to rob us of our national liberty and who officer their army for them. We hate them, man. Austria? Not I. Don't hate me, dear young lady. I am only a Swiss fighting merrily as a professional soldier. I joined Serbia because it was nearest to me. Be generous. You have beaten us, fellow. Reina, have I not been generous? Man, noble, heroic, but I'm not saved yet. This particular rush will soon pass through, but the pursuit will go all night by fits and starts. I must take my chance to get off during a quiet interval. You don't mind my waiting just a minute or two, do you, Raina? Oh no, I'm sorry. You will have to go into danger again, motioning towards Ottoman. Once you see it, she breaks off with an irrepressible cry of alarm as he catches sight of the pistol. The man, all nerves, shies like a frightened horse. Man, irritably, don't frighten me like that. What is it? Raina, your pistol. It was staring that officer in the face all the time. What an escape, man. vexed at being unnecessarily terrified. Oh, is that all, Raina? Staring at him rather superciliously, conceiving a poorer and poorer opinion of him, and feeling proportionately more and more at her ease with him. I'm sorry I frightened you. She takes up the pistol and hands it to him. Pray take it to protect yourself against me. Man, grinning wearily at the sarcasm as he takes the pistol. No use, dear young lady. There's nothing in it. It is not loaded. He makes a grimace at it and drops it despairingly into his revolver case. Reina, load it by all means. Man, I have no ammunition. What use are cartridges in battle? I always carry chocolate instead. And I finished the last cake of that yesterday, Raina, outraged in her most cherished ideals of manhood. Chocolate? Do you stuff your pockets with sweets like a schoolboy, even in the field? Man, yes. Is it contemptible? Raina stares at him, unable to utter her feelings. Then she sails away scornfully to the chest of drawers and returns with a box of confectionery in her hand. Raina, allow me. I'm sorry I have eaten them all except these. She offers him the box. Man, ravenously, you are an angel. He gobbles the confits. Creams, delicious. He looks anxiously to see whether there are any more. There are none, and he accepts the inevitable with pathetic good humor and says with grateful emotion, bless you, dear lady. You can always tell an older soldier by the inside of his holsters and cartridge box. The young ones carry pistols and cartridges. The old ones grow. Thank you. He hands back the box. She snatches it contemptuously from him and throws it away. This impatient action is so sudden that he shies again. Don't do things so suddenly, gracious lady. Don't revenge yourself because I frightened you just now. Raina superbly. Frighten me? Do you know, sir, that though I'm only a woman, I think I am at heart as brave as you, man? I should think so. You haven't been under fire for 3 days as I have. I can stand 2 days without showing it much, but no man can stand 3 days. I'm as nervous as a mouse. He sits down on the ottoman and takes his head in his hands. Would you like to see me cry, Raina? Quickly? No, man. If you would, all you have to do is to scold me just as if I were a little boy and you my nurse. If I were in camp now, they'll to play all sorts of tricks on me, Raina. A little moved. I'm sorry. I once called you, touched by the sympathy in her tone. He raises his head and looks gratefully at her. She immediately draws back and says stiffly, you must excuse me. Our soldiers are not like that. She moves away from the ottoman. Man, oh, yes, they are. There are only two sorts of soldiers, old ones and young ones. I have said 14 years. Half of your fellows never smelled powder before. Why? How is it that you have just beaten us? Sheer ignorance of the art of war, nothing else, indignantly. I never saw anything so unprofessional. Raina, ironically, oh, was it unprofessional to beat you? Man, well, come. Is it professional to throw a regiment of cavalry on a battery of machine guns with the dead certainty that if the guns go off, not a horse or man will ever get within 50 yards of the fire? I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. Raina, eagerly turning to him, as all her enthusiasm and her dream of glory rushed back on her. Did you see the great cavalry charge? Oh, tell me about it. Describe it to me. Man, you never saw a cavalry charge, did you, Raina? How could I? Man, perhaps not, of course. Well, it is a funny sight. It is like slinging handful of peas against a window pane. First one comes, and then two or three close behind him, and then all the rest is a lump. Raina, her eyes dilating as she raises her clasped hands ecstatically. Yes, first one, and the bravest of the brave. Man, precisely. See the poor devil pulling at his horse, Raina. Why should he pull at his horse? Man, impatient of so stupid a question. It is running away with him, of course. Do you suppose the fellow wants to get there before the others and be killed? Then they all come. You can tell the young ones by their wildness and their slashing. The old ones come bunched up under the number one guard. They know that they are mere projectiles and that it is no use trying to fight. The wounds are mostly broken knees from the horses running together. Ugh. But I don't believe the first man is a coward. I believe he's a hero. Man,